Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Scrutiny podcast, the podcast where we take you through all the TV, film, and streaming news this past week that we found worth talking about. It is episode 15. Never seen 15 before. I don't even think people can count that high. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Billy. Billy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I just learned a new number today, John.
What number
It's
is
15.
that?
15.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking crazy. I don't think there's ever been a podcast that lasted this long ever.
No, I think we're going to have to spend most of our time trying to figure out a new number for next week's podcast.
Yeah. It's gonna take all week to figure out another number for this one, but
Yeah. All right. Well,
nonetheless, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back, and we got some great news to talk about. We also got a good discussion at the end. We're going to be talking about Aaron Sorkin's written and directed The Trial of the Chicago 7. No spoilers. It's fucking good, and we'll get there. But before we get into any of the news, we just want to give a shout out to one of our friends, another content creator out there, and that is our boy NickoCreates over on Twitch. He is live streaming right now while we're recording this. Talk about dedication. He doesn't know that we're watching him, but we are. That's the power of Twitch.
That's right.
Yeah, honestly, he puts out real good content. You can see he's playing Rocket League. He literally has controller. Oh, this is so cool. So Billy can't actually see it because just the OBS and the networking. You can actually see Nico put in the controller inputs in real time. He has a simulated PlayStation controller on the screen. It's fucking sick.
It is pretty sick. He also has a great setup to the intro of his stream where he's at a news desk. Mm-hmm. Pretty sick.
Yeah, I really like that. Honestly, this man's putting out unique content that you really don't see a lot of on Twitch. And I think he deserves more views. I think that's just, that's really just what it is. So if anybody likes Twitch, they like Rocket League, Among Us, pretty much anything. He does creative content. He does reviews. He does top 10 lists. Just go check him out. I'm sure you'll have a great time. One of us will probably be watching as well. It's always there. Just go check it out. It's good stuff.
It is.
All right. So moving on to the news for today. We are going to jump directly into something that is also gaming related, surprisingly. We didn't set that up. That's smart.
There's actually a lot of gaming news this week.
Yeah, because entertainment is entertainment.
2 stories. That's right.
So the first thing we're going to start with is Tom Holland's Uncharted film. I believe finished filming, but they have some stills from the set. Well, they have one still from the set. And that is obviously what you're watching, or what you're looking at right now. The reason I say I think it's done filming is because I know Spider-Man started filming. So, obviously he can't be in both places, but I don't know. They're both Sony properties, so I guess Sony could do really whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first reveal of what Tom Holland's going to look like in the movie. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you have played all 4, I think all 5 Uncharted games, including Lost Legacy at the end there.
Yes, I'm a big fan. I like the games.
Yeah, very good. So, thinking about the games, and not even considering Tom Holland's age or what the content of the story is going to be about, what do you think of just the look right now? The costume, the backdrop?
I think the backdrop is perfect. Reminds me a lot of the set pieces from the second game, where they're in the monastery. It looks like a broken monastery. But I think the costume is straight from the games. It's completely ripped, which is great. That's what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. If anything, I think Tom Holland looks a little young, which I think is kind of the, I don't want to say backlash, but it's kind of the point a lot of people are making. He looks really young for the role, but it's also supposed to be a prequel. So I think if you look at the flashbacks from the game where Drake is a kid, and then you see him as an adult, I think it's a nice in between spot. Uh-huh. So I'm not upset with it. I think he looks pretty good. I think obviously I want to see a trailer, see what the whole look of the movie's going to be. Mm. And hopefully it won't turn out like the Tomb Raider movie that came out a year or two ago.
The Melissa Vikander one.
Yeah. But I think he looks good. And we have that other picture of Mark Wahlberg as Sully.
Yeah, we'll get there in
I
a
think
second.
he looks a little ridiculous, but he looks like Sully. So I mean,
Uh,
I can't really complain. But it's Mark Wahlberg with a big caterpillar mustache.
yeah, we'll get
So
there. We'll get there.
yeah,
Yeah, I think Tom Holland. I think the outfit is spot on. I think for me, when I look at the background, I think of the European vibe from Four.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I just feel like in the woodwork. I think it looks great. I think he looks good. I don't like.
yeah,
Obviously, I think the big hurdle for everyone is going to be proving that he is Nathan Drake.
yeah. I
And
think it'll come down to the writing and like the quippiness that he does.
yeah, I think it's gonna be
Um,
the writing, and then if he can pull off like the is he from Boston, Nathan Drake? Like
no, he's not
no,
from Boston. I
it's
don't know
some
what I'd
port
consider.
city.
He's Nolan North.
Yeah, but I mean, just like pulling off like that more like that specific voice, I guess. Because I mean, he can do
Yeah,
like the Queen's thing, like for Spider Man, but I don't think like it's not gonna be like that at all. Like Spider Man is like a bit
yeah,
more timid and like witty,
yeah,
and Nathan's always more confident of himself.
yeah. Definitely, he's definitely a lot more of like I don't want to say Indiana Jones because Indiana Jones is like kind of a bit more like smart, educated kind of an attitude.
Mm.
He is kind of like a mixture of Indiana Jones and Peter Parker esque.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. It's probably in the middle.
so I think he'll be able to pull it off as long as the writing is in his favor, I
Yeah, that's
guess.
true. I think it really is going to come down to that writing.
Yeah.
But we'll see for that. And then I'm just going to go over to the picture of Mark Wahlberg. I agree with what you said. Man looks fucking ridiculous.
He
I
looks like a young Sully though.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there was young Sully in 4, and I still think he had. I don't know. I like. It's very clear that he's trying to emulate that look.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing that I saw as rumor was that Mark Wahlberg refused to do the mustache.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that's almost evident by. So this is a still from an Instagram video that he put out, in which the only thing he says is "Don't fucking ask," and I think that is just kind of like, like he doesn't want the mustache. He thinks it looks stupid, and I think
Sure.
that he's just like, listen, like I'm just doing this for the film. But I'm glad that he is actually doing it because I think the biggest thing about these video game films is that you have to really pay respect to the source material that everybody cares about.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
Mark Wahlberg alone, people are already like, this is not respect. Like this is
Yeah.
fucking idiotic. Not and
Sure.
no disrespect to Marky Mark. I think he's a good actor and a funny dude.
Yeah.
But
I think it makes sense Mark Wahlberg would try and fight the mustache thing
mm,
because I mean he doesn't look like Mark Wahlberg. I guess you could say. I mean
yeah,
he
no, I
does
agree.
obviously, but like it's not like a like Mark Wahlberg probably wouldn't be stunned at mustache in any other of his movies.
Yeah, I don't think
Um,
he would do it unless he had to.
but I think that comes down to like actors and like their PR teams. Like, uh, what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence. Like, she famously fought with Fox about the Mystique role and
Yeah.
like being blue as Mystique all the time because one, she didn't want to do the prosthetics and the makeup every day, and she didn't think she looked as good, and it was a whole like PR like fighting nightmare. But
Yeah, I mean, I think with like,
these are the hurdles you get with actors sometimes.
yeah, I think if anything, like between this one, the Jennifer Lawrence thing, and the Mandalorian thing that we talked about, I think it's
Yeah, the
almost like a
helmet thing.
scale. You know what I mean? Like Mark Wahlberg not wanting to put on a fake mustache for like a day. I
Yeah.
think that's on the that's on the side of like you're a complete fucking bitch, bro. Like just put the fucking mustache on. Like it doesn't have to be real. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
mean, like
no,
the
no.
contract could incite that it's real, based on the setting that he is in the photo. I don't believe it's real. I believe it's just a prosthetic.
I think it's too bushy for something
Yeah,
Mark Wahlberg
I
would
don't think
grow.
he could just
So
grow that instantly. So,
no, definitely not.
but it looks good. Looks like realistic, and it looks good
No,
for
he looks
Sully.
good. He looks like the character.
Yeah,
So
put a cigar in his mouth, whatever. But anyway, back to my scale of actor bitchiness.
yeah,
Like that, I think if that's true, which that is a rumor. I guess these are all rumors, really. Maybe not the
hmm
Jennifer Lawrence one, but like that's pure bitchiness. In the middle, we have Mando, and I guess Tobey Maguire. They're like, I want more acting time with my face so I can like act like an actor. And
Yes.
like that's, okay, like for like the producer, they're like, all right, you're getting a little pretentious with your acting, buddy. Just do the fucking acting. But like it's understandable, I guess, right? It's
Yeah, it
just
is. I mean, actors want to be able to. I mean, like, the argument for Pedro Pascal is like, yes, I'm in this big show, and my name's attached to it, but nobody's going to recognize my face to the name, and that's like a big thing that
yeah,
actors fight for, and even producers fight for, because the actor's face is like a big, it's a big seller, you know,
if I was
especially
the
when you're a
producer on The Mandalorian, which I believe is exactly what the producer on The Mandalorian is thinking, I'd be like, no one gives a shit about your face, Pedro.
It's, I'm pretty sure that's what John Favreau said.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
But
based on what we have like seen and heard, that's what it sounds like.
yeah,
It sounds like, listen, bro, this is about the helmet, and like we're doing it.
you
So
know,
like,
I think the argument that Pedro Pascal made inevitably worked out, because I saw earlier this week
mm,
some Mandalorian toy pictures leaked,
mm-hmm.
and it's Mando without the helmet.
There you go. So I mean, but like again,
So
we have the 50-50, right? Like I could see that going either way. The
yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence thing, I'm all about that. Like I understand her pain.
yeah,
Like that one, like I get it. She's like, listen, because you could talk about like putting on prosthetics, whatever. Jennifer Lawrence for that role was she had to arrive like 9 hours before everyone else,
yeah.
and then
She had to
sit
be
in a
painted
chair
entirely
for
blue.
like like you had to be awake for 9 fucking hours when people were fucking with you,
Yeah.
and that's insane. Like mad respect to every recurring character on any sci-fi show that is an alien because you have to get there so fucking early to
Yeah,
do your weird
exactly.
ass prosthetics. Um, yeah, I think if it was done today, maybe it would be different. I think a lot of like I believe watching the new Star Trek Discovery, it looks
Yeah.
very much like some of those aliens. Not all of them, but some of them are like straight up just CG. And
Oh
like
yeah.
I'd rather just be hit with like 30 dots, with an hour instead of spending 10 hours just like getting painted.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely a struggle. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, there's the infamous story of Jim Carrey on the set of The Grinch, where he threatened to quit because he couldn't deal with it.
Yeah. I also
But
know I forget the name of the show, but it was like a show where this girl was covered in tattoos, but like the tattoos were like a map to something. It was like a cop show.
oh,
It's kind of whack. But
yeah,
she got poisoned by the prosthetics.
really,
Yeah, because they would put on the tattoos every week or like every day to shoot, and whatever the
yeah,
tattoos were like made out of, like it just gave her, I think lead poisoning. I think there was lead in
great.
the tattoos. But
That's
anyway,
awesome.
that's just an actor. That's more of just a fact of prosthetics. I was just having a conversation about him.
Yeah,
Yeah, his mustache is ugly. Back to the point. But it's I don't even know if it's ugly or if it's just out of time. Which like I think also Uncharted definitely doesn't feel like it takes place in the modern day, even though it does.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like
definitely
Sully
like,
feels like an old like Sully feels the most like Indiana Jones. Like he's got the big cigar, he's
yeah,
got like a water plane, and it goes like go 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 go.
yeah. He definitely feels like an Indiana Jones like side character type of guy.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, that's what they draw from in Uncharted, and same with Tomb Raider.
yeah.
It's all like a product of that adventure archaeologist type of adventure story. So
Yeah. Where do you think this will land on the scale of video game movies slash treasure hunter movies? Because we have the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider, we have the Alyssa Vikander Tomb Raider. Now we have this. Obviously, we have Indiana Jones.
it's a slippery slope, because I feel like a lot of uh, adventure movies, archaeologist adventure movies, don't
Mm,
really pan out like the Indiana Jones movies do. And
yeah.
on top of that, there's this entire trope of video game movies and how they flop and they bomb, and they never adapt very well. But
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, I like the picture of Tom Holland. I like that their Mark Wahlberg is like, he's committing to the mustache, but it's really gonna tell. It's really gonna show when we see it a trailer, or when we see it in motion,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
we're gonna see if it's super like like remember when you saw like the Tomb Raider stuff? Like it just seemed like they were on a set and it seemed like very CG. Like it didn't look real.
Yeah, the Angelina
And
Jolie Tomb Raider was very like it just felt very like plastic. She also wore like a giant like silicon jumpsuit. That was kind
yeah,
of
I mean,
weird.
there's that one and the newer one as well. It was very like it just felt very much on a set, and
That's
I
fair. I
think
have had the pleasure of not seeing the Alyssa Vikander one.
I haven't seen it either, but I've seen like two of the trailers, and I think it doesn't match up. You know,
Sure.
I think you have to have a good mixture of on location and set, and you know the budget will tell. I guess I don't actually know what the budget is for this Uncharted movie, but
Yeah.
um,
I mean, it's been in production for like 25 years, so
yeah, I mean it took
I'm
them
sure
forever
they
to get it off the
already.
ground.
Yeah.
It's finally happening, but I think we'll see once we get an idea of the story, we see them in motion, we see the acting that's going on, the characters. It's all going to show once the trailer comes, and
Yeah, I agree.
I'll be able to give a lot more of like a good idea of what it's going to be like by then. But we just have to wait, I guess.
Yeah,
But this first look, I would say, is promising.
I agree. I think it is definitely putting us in the right direction. Speaking of the right direction for, I don't know, entertainment, segue. We're segueing. So the Moon Knight series, the famous series that I believe a different actor kind of comes in every 6 months, and it's like this actor's definitely going to do it.
Yeah.
We now have, according to Deadline, a rumor that Oscar Isaac has been tapped to star in the Disney Plus series as Moon Knight. So
Yes.
originally, I believe I'm trying to think of who else I saw. I think the first person we saw was Keanu Reeves, and then I believe there's one or two other like potential shots for it.
Yeah.
But now this is actually seeming to be more official. Like they're settling in. They like Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
What do you think about Oscar Isaac potentially joining the MCU in any capacity?
I like that idea. I like Oscar Isaac a lot as an actor. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's really talented, and I think I'd like to see him in like I remember he was Apocalypse in X-Men,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like I didn't really like him in that because you couldn't really tell it was him, and I feel like I mean I guess it shows him range. It showed him as like this sci-fi creature, I guess, but
Sure, yeah.
um, I'm interested to see him do other things, and of course I'd like to see him in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as Moon Knight, I think it'll be cool. I don't know a lot about Moon Knight. I've seen him in some video games that I've played, and I've heard like little bits and pieces about the character. And he seems a lot like a mixture of like Batman and Daredevil, but he's like much more mysterious and
Yeah, I agree.
like you don't really know too much about him as like from the perspective of other characters, like other heroes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that could be interesting for Oscar Isaac. And I just to be honest, I really just like him a lot as an actor. I
Oh,
think
he's a brilliant actor.
he looks great on screen. Uh, he does his job really well,
Yeah, I'm
and
super excited to see what
obviously
he's
it'd be a
doing.
huge name for a Disney Plus show to have as a lead. So
Yeah, I mean, I think he, if we're being completely honest, and I'm not trying to say that Disney blacklists people, but like coming off of the sequel trilogy of Star Wars,
mhm.
Daisy Rid like John Boyega, the movie's end, John Boyega fucking dunks on him. He's like, I hated this. This sucked. They
Yeah,
hated me. Like it was just insane. And then Daisy Ridley's like, you know what? Yeah, it wasn't necessarily that good. Like they're trying to distance themselves
sure,
in a very
yeah,
weird way because I genuinely believe that if they just wait like 5 years, it's gonna be like, oh,
mhm.
that shit was awesome. Like even like like if you think like Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman and Ewan McGregor, right? Like those movies did terrible at the time, or at least they were received. Like obviously, Revenge of the
They
Sith
were,
I think did
yeah,
very well. Like
right,
that's when it
right,
came back around, but it was kind of like panned. You know what I mean? Like in the
yeah,
same
definitely,
way. But now it's like, oh my god, like any of those actors. I mean, Hayden Christensen just kind of left the limelight because of what happened, unfortunately.
yeah,
Ewan McGregor did, a lot of good stuff, a lot of different stuff, and obviously Natalie Portman, fucking dunking on people.
Yeah, she popped off.
Yeah, she's in her own MCU stuff. She's coming back. She was in a movie with Oscar Isaac called Annihilation. It was interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But like she's, so anyway, my point is Oscar Isaac's the only person left of like the new trilogy crew, and he doesn't have any fucking problems. Like, you know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean, he kept his PR pretty clean and straightforward. He never
Yeah.
dunked on the movies.
Like
I
he
mean,
backed John Boyega when he said certain things, but never to the point where it's like, I almost like I feel like John Boyega genuinely believes he's like, I wish I was never in that. And like
I think
Oscar
so too.
Isaac is like
John
very
Boyega,
happy.
it's a very like different perspective on all the members of the cast because obviously John Boyega is very much like I hated this. It was trash, and they totally disrespected the lore. And he's very much on the side of those fans that feel that way.
Yeah.
And of course, I think Daisy Ridley, like, I think she opposes it, but she opposes it in a lot more like politically correct way, where she's like, I don't think she necessarily takes like a solid stance on like this was bad,
Yeah.
but more so in a sense that like, yeah, I did the trilogy, but I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Like that was it for me. Like I want to move on to other things, and
Uh,
she's a lot more respectful about it. And when it comes to Hollywood, like that's the right move because people like you said, like John Boyega very well might be blacklisted by at least Disney
yeah.
and Fox. You never know, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean Oscar Isaac handled it very well, and of course, like he's continued to get roles, and I think he's going to continue to get roles.
Yeah. I think he's a great
Um,
actor.
no, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway, that's my point of that was I think that he is a easy call up from the Star Wars. Like there's a great, we already got the reputation and like the rapport.
yeah,
So we bring him in. I think, especially in the article, it says that Jeremy Slater, who developed and wrote the Netflix adaptation of The Umbrella Academy,
yeah,
he is going to be part of the lead writer for this. He's going to be on the writing team for this
good move.
show. Great move. That show
Yeah,
is so good.
yeah,
So like this Oscar Isaac Moon Knight, it's coming together. I think it's also funny in the article, because I agree, I don't really know a lot about Moon Knight, but I mean anything is exciting, right? New
yeah.
content. It says that later versions of the character were a conduit for the Egyptian moon god Khonshu, I believe. I may
Yeah,
have botched
I,
that,
I
but
believe he's like possessed or he like gets his powers from like an Egyptian god. Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's funny that he's been in two superhero movies, and in both of them he plays Egyptian gods. So I mean, if he does get this, he'll be typecast as Egyptian god based
Yeah.
superhumans or whatever. I don't even know if. Oh fuck! What was that? That wasn't even Apocalypse, was it? It was like. Uh,
Um,
God, those movies
it
suck.
was Apocalypse.
Oh, it is. It's a Marvel Apocalypse. I forgot that's a.
Yeah.
Ooh.
In X-Men, he's Apocalypse. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good day when you could forget that the X-Men movies aren't actually Marvel movies.
yeah.
It's
I
so
don't know.
tragic.
I think Moon Knight also is like if I remember correctly, his character like he is mysterious and
Mhm.
whatnot, but I think everyone else perceives him as like this like nut job in a suit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he seems crazy or sounds crazy or something like by the way he talks and like
I mean, I think
dresses things.
Daredevil definitely seems fucking nuts when you're
I
talking to him.
mean, people probably think Batman's nuts, but
Yeah.
like I think it's the way like he talks or like his character or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, if he's possessed by an Egyptian god, if he comes off like Doctor Fate in the DC stuff,
Yeah,
like when Doctor Fate speaks, he's talking about like the past, present, and future, like they all already happened, and you're like, what the fuck?
yeah, I believe Moon Knight is pretty similar to Doctor Fate in that sense. So
Interesting.
it will be interesting. And I again like I think it's fair to say both of us don't know a lot about Moon Knight,
Yeah, but I
but
would love to know
I
more.
I know enough about the character to know that the show will be interesting, and
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think
I
it'll be
think
a cool
Oscar
character to
Isaac can do
in the
anything, right? I
universe.
think he can make anything interesting.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm interested to see it. I'm excited if
yeah,
he gets casted.
yeah, and I would also love to see him transition to the big screen for anything because I think Oscar Isaac looks good up there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Always happy
So
to see him.
speaking of superhero based characters,
Yes.
we got some Justice League Snyder Cut information to talk about.
That's right.
And
It's
that
juicy.
is it is juicy. So the information first in the week that broke was that Jared Leto's Joker is getting added to the Snyder Cut via the reshoots. And
Yeah,
now what we are also seeing is Joe Manganiello is also coming back as Deathstroke for the reshoots.
that's right.
And this begs the question, what the fuck's this movie about?
You know, uh, I think if you remember in the theatrical cut,
Hmm.
um, to the end credit scene or very close to the end, we had or Deathstroke showed up
Yes, he
and
does.
he met with Luther on the boat. I think we're gonna see an extended version of that scene with Jared Leto's Joker and with Deathstroke as well. And
Interesting.
also another thing to think about is as we get further and further into the development of this reshoot of the Snyder cut,
Oh.
I think it's becoming more and more prevalent that this is no longer just a 4 hour movie. This
Yeah.
is a 4 part miniseries.
This is a
You
setup.
know what I mean? This is a setup right here. And I think, and I'm just speculating here. I don't know anything. Uh, don't take my word for truth or anything here, but
Mm.
I'm just going to say that if this Snyder Cut thing works out for HBO Max and they see crazy numbers and it's received really well, I wouldn't be surprised to see Zack Snyder taking up his own side universe on HBO Max with these characters.
You think so?
I would not. I would not be surprised. I think anything is possible at this point
Yeah, I almost
because
think that
this
they
is like
would.
uncharted territory for Hollywood right now. So
Yeah, I think if anything, they'd probably, if it does well, they'd remake it canon. Like
yeah,
they'd be like, this is the definitive cut, this is the canonical cut, and then
mhm,
I'd give him back the movies, and I'd be like, let's, we're going in this direction again.
yeah,
And I hadn't really thought about the end scene. Like I remembered the end scene, but I assumed that they were going to be put in a more substantial role.
yeah,
However, now that you're mentioning that, it does almost feel like they're trying to set up the Injustice League right
yeah,
at the end there in a more substantial way.
yeah.
And I think
I
that, especially right now, DC's biggest strength is their villain based films,
oh
like
yeah.
Suicide Squad or like the Joker. And an Injustice League would be great.
I would love to see a Justice League versus like the I don't know if it's the Injustice League or the Legion of Doom, whatever you want to
Yeah,
call it.
you could do anything.
Yeah, but I would love to see like a villain team versus Justice League type of thing. That would be sick. And I know Jared Leto's Joker gets a lot of shit,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I also think his character got significantly cut from that movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I personally I think Jared Leto had a lot of potential with it. I know he was really weird and creepy, and he did his take on it, but I think it was an interesting take, and I was very interested to see more. I wanted to see him with Batman,
Yeah.
with Ben Affleck, to be honest. Um, but I also think that you know it's interesting that he brings back Jared Leto now, and if you've seen David Ayer, he's fighting extremely hard for his Suicide Squad cut to come, his like own Ayer cut, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
He's like fighting extremely hard for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is almost like a ploy to like pander to that and say, oh yeah, throw Ayer his little director's cut and let's see more of this Joker. Um, but also like I said, this could expand into something on HBO Max. I wouldn't be surprised if they tell Snyder, executive produce your own like side universe here on HBO Max with these characters
Yeah.
because
I don't know. The thing for me is like I don't think that Jared Leto would do it. You know what I mean? Like I think it would almost have to be a movie
yeah,
on the big screen, or else why Jared Leto's like I don't want to do it. Like maybe Joe Manganiello would. Not
yeah, I
to
think Joe
say he's a
Manganiello
different
would
kind
do
of
it.
actor, but like Jared Leto or like oh god, the dude who plays Lex Luthor. Um,
Jesse Eisenberg.
yeah, I don't think he would do it either. I think he needs a film.
It would be very hard, and it would like. I mean, I don't. As we know, streaming is like becoming bigger and bigger by the day.
Mm,
But I agree, it would take a very hard like. It'd be a very hard sell to get all those actors in there for like recurring HBO Max like miniseries or
yeah,
shows. I, uh, I've seen rumors, and these are like very like I wouldn't even put any like credibility to them, but like I've seen rumors of people saying Ben Affleck could get an HBO Max miniseries if this Snyder thing works out, which I don't believe at all. I don't think Ben Affleck would do it.
I would put him back in a movie. Like I would just
Yeah,
like, yeah,
exactly. I think personally, if this Snyder Cut thing works out, I think we could see more content on HBO Max with the universe.
yeah.
But I think ultimately what they're going to do is with the Flash, I think they're going to swap out Affleck and retire him with Pattinson and bring Pattinson into the universe, and he will be the Batman.
I don't even
It'll
think
be just
Pattinson
a.
wants to do
I
that.
don't think he does either, but I think that's like their most logical play to do it. I mean, like, otherwise this Snyder verse is dead in the water. Like,
I
because
mean,
Batman, I don't think Ben Affleck's going to keep on coming back that much. Like,
I think
obviously he's signed on for Flash, but
if
I
Flashpoint
mean,
does well, he'll come back.
you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think he if he can leave it on a note that is actually enjoyable, I think
Yeah,
he will actually come back.
yeah. I think it's about definitely the public reception, and I think it's very obvious that Ben Affleck takes that to heart.
Yeah.
As we've seen in the past, he's very publicly reacted to those things. Um, I mean, and that's not to say I wouldn't want to see more. I just want to know what the roadmap is. You know,
Yeah, I
um,
agree.
I think Warner Brothers continues to. They're continuing the strategy of, put it out, see what people say, and then we'll make the next move, and not this is the map. We're following the map. Doesn't matter what people say. And I think
Yeah.
that's sometimes it works for them, sometimes it doesn't, as we see. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. I think like teasing the Injustice League thing at the end of the Legion of Doom and like being like, like do people like that? And if people are talking about it, then you go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I think like the budget of that like thing would have to be like a actual like
it'd
in
be
person
massive.
thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if Jared Leto like needs the Joker. You know what I mean? Like
He,
if the rumors of him being in his own Tron film and like he has a lot more control over that film,
yeah.
like
Not to
that could
mention
become
he's gonna be
weird.
Morbius now, and that could turn into
Yeah,
like that Venom universe thing that they're doing. He's booked up for sure. I
yeah,
mean, like he has no shortage of roles around him. But I think part of, I mean, obviously we don't know that much, but I think Jared Leto does like his Joker role. I think it was pretty obvious he was hurt when they really shortcutted him, I guess, in
yeah. I
Suicide Squad,
agree.
and he was very like obviously publicly upset because he put so much time and effort into it.
Yeah,
So I think he'd be interested, but obviously it comes with
yeah.
whatever their
Very
plan is.
skeptical.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
would say it's skeptical.
because I think if anything, like, if there was a Legion of Doom movie, I think Jared Leto's Joker in particular lends himself to being more of a side. I don't want to say like a side character, but like a like not the leader. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I feel like
yeah.
he's just more crazy, and he'll just be like, "Yeah, let's just do whatever the fuck as long as I get to strangle somebody."
As long
So
as I get to act like a freak on screen.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I mean, I think because like you also see that in some of the animated stuff where it's like Lex Luthor is just like being the mastermind, being evil, and then Joker will just like come around the corner and be like wabba baba, and then he'll
yeah,
like stab a
yeah.
fucking baby or something. Like
Yeah,
he's
he's
just
always
like
doing crazy
yeah,
stuff.
like when it becomes like the larger group, it's just like wow, he's fucking insane, and like that's just one thing. Like that's the thing it
Yeah,
gets boiled down to.
yeah.
So
It definitely changes on the dynamic of the people around him.
yeah,
Um, but it could be interesting. I mean, would I like to see more? Yes, but we won't know until this Snyder thing is done. I guess. You
yeah.
know,
So we will
not until
see what
further
happens. We'll
reception.
keep an eye on it. I believe is
Yeah,
the correct response. So we are really taking our sweet time today with these good topics. So we're gonna have to
we
fly
are.
through some, which is unfortunate. But
That's all right. These next couple
uh,
topics are pretty quick.
yeah. So next topic. So this is really interesting if you like Assassin's Creed, and that is Assassin's Creed is getting a live action Netflix series, and on top of that,
Yes.
they have also teamed up to do animated series and anime based series for Netflix with the Assassin's Creed
Yes.
universe. So I guess raw reaction, Billy. What are we feeling?
I like this move.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Netflix is a good spot for Assassin's Creed, and I think it's a good partnership because Netflix is probably the biggest streamer. I think that's pretty obvious.
Uh huh.
I think I do think it's interesting that Ubisoft is staying involved. Obviously, we know what happened with the Michael Fassbender Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
It was box office wise, I believe it was a success. I think you could call it. It made its money back, but obviously, perception wise, it was a flop. And I do think the Assassin's Creed fan base, I feel like it gets split every year,
Mm.
down the middle on whether they like the direction the story is going or they like what they're doing with the games. But I'm interested to know. I'm sure Ubisoft has already said this, but I'm interested to know if this is all canon within the Assassin's Creed lore.
They have not said it yet. So
I would assume it is because I think they said the Michael Fassbender one was canon.
yeah, so the problem is right now we don't know whether or not these are going to be new stories or if it's going to be like an adaptation of one of the pre-existing games.
Yeah.
I am more excited about this than the Fassbender one. I think that the Hollywood movie got a little bit out of Ubisoft's control, if that makes sense.
I agree.
And it just became something that Assassin's Creed isn't to me. And I think everyone, you're right when you say that like the fan base is split a lot of the time. Because to me, Assassin's Creed, the worst part about Assassin's Creed is the modern day stuff.
Yeah.
And some people, for some reason, and now I'm just showing my bias, for some fucking reason, only cared about the Desmond stuff. And like when the Desmond storyline ended in 3, they were like, what's the point? Like, what are we doing? But to me, like just the battle, it's like the battle for all time. It's like these two secret factions warring over the planet for eons. Like that's fucking sick. Like I don't need this larger context. Like it makes it easier if there's no context. Like if we're talking about developing games, which this is what they're doing now, like removing the modern day stuff, then you can just do whatever fucking time period you want. Who cares? Like it's just a self-contained thing. It's about like, because it literally just is like it's good versus evil, and that's all you need. And like you can do that any fucking time, and like, so there's a side rant. I'm just fucking pissed.
No, I understand, and we've had this discussion before off podcast. I mean, I like the modern day stuff, and really the reason I do is because it just gives a center character to focus on and a reoccurring character that we get to see. And obviously that was Ezio when they had the Ezio series going. But
well, it would have been Desmond in that because of the live action or because of the modern day. But like you see what I'm saying though, because like Ezio is the recurring character within that trilogy.
Yeah. But I agree with you though. I mean, the overall concept of Assassin's Creed is a lot bigger than just one person. It's about it's a timeless battle between good and evil about these artifacts and this power struggle. And it's a really cool concept, and I think fans have slowly accepted that. But I guess back to like centering back on the Netflix deal, I think a TV series, a live action series, is a better fit for Assassin's Creed because, like you said, it's a ongoing all time story about good and evil. And to sum that up in a movie is a lot harder, compared to when you have a series or an animated show, an anime. And I think splitting it up into those different mediums is going to expand the fan base and the content.
Yeah, I agree. It's also being headed by 2 people directly from Ubisoft or from Ubisoft Film.
Yeah,
because I think it was either during or right after the Assassin's Creed film with Michael Fassbender. They actually set up their own dedicated studio.
Yeah,
and that is Jason Altman and Danielle Krenik. I don't know. Tried it.
Krennic.
Yeah, Krennic probably. But the thing they are known for is working on, I believe it's called. What is it called? Something Quest.
For Apple? They made that thing for Apple.
It's called Mythic Quest Final Banquet or Raven's Banquet.
Yeah.
And that actually, even though it's on Apple TV, so nobody's seen it, which is the unfortunate reality of Apple TV, if we're being honest. It does actually have a 89% for the first season, and I believe a similar score for the second. It has a 94 overall between the 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So if that is any indication of the quality of show that we are going to get, I am very excited.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea to keep Ubisoft involved.
Yeah.
It's their property. And I, like you said with the movie, I think it got a little bit out of their hands with the Fassbender adaptation.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's important to keep the original creators involved. Um, and that's prevalent with shows like The Dark Crystal that just came out
Oh,
earlier this year.
yeah.
And they kept the original creators involved with that.
I
Um,
read that Netflix most likely canceled that.
that's sad because it
Yeah,
was good.
it was really
But
good. If anyone hasn't seen it, go check it out. But it was a part of their if this doesn't do good within 10 minutes, we're gonna cut it.
yeah, I mean that's how it works, though, unfortunately.
Mm.
But I don't know. I think this is a good idea for Assassin's Creed. I love Assassin's Creed. I like the games a lot. I've played almost all of them. And I've been waiting for good live action content for Assassin's Creed. A lot better than the Michael Fassbender adaptation.
Hmm.
So I'm excited for this, and I think Netflix will pull off something really interesting because they give people the money that they need usually. So
Yeah, I agree. I think as long as the first season does well and they don't instantly cut it again, fucking bastard.
I don't think it'll get cut. I think there'll be enough of a fan base following that will tune in.
Yeah, I think the
To be
biggest thing
honest.
for Netflix is going to be portraying it as not a video game thing, so that they can trick people into watching it.
Yeah, sure.
Because you got to get everyone really when you're starting to talk bigger numbers like that.
Yeah,
But also, I think one of the exciting things they could do with this, I don't think they should do it on an episode basis, but I think this type of show also lends it to the possibility of what Altered Carbon was, where every season is a new
it's
main
like a
character.
character.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
it'd be
agree.
the first season is Connor, not necessarily Connor specifically, but revolutionary America. And then the second
Sure.
season can be ancient Japan. And then the third season's revolutionary France. And then we go to Ireland. And it's you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Or
surprised
World
if
War
that's something
One.
that they do because that's honestly a great idea, and I think it worked out really well for Altered Carbon before it got
Yeah.
canceled, unfortunately. But I thought it was a great concept, and
Yeah.
this IP, I guess, fits that idea perfectly. So I would agree.
Yeah. Netflix is going to stop canceling good shit, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, whatever. We're moving on. So speaking of things getting fucking canceled,
Yeah,
Quibi got fucking dunked on this week.
it did. Unfortunate. Well, it's actually not unfortunate because I actually have a gripe with Quibi.
Sure.
But I mean, I guess the story of it all, Quibi's shutting down because nobody wants to watch it.
Yeah, so I feel like a
You don't
lot
know
of
what Quibi is,
people probably don't know what it
but
is.
yeah, if you don't know what Quibi is, it was a streaming service that was coming out this year. It did come out this year, but it
Mhm.
was ramping up, and it was supposed to be this new service where you pay the minimum price was $5 a month, and then the premium was like 7 or 8.
Mhm.
And it was basically short form content, like 10 minutes, and it was fully produced stuff with big name talent attached. I know Chance the Rapper had some kind of show. I think he had Punked. They tried to reboot Punked on
Yeah,
Quibi.
they did, and then Chrissy Teigen had a court show.
Yeah, they had all
Anna
kinds of
Kendrick had something.
they had short films on there that people were producing.
Yeah, so
Um,
they had $2.1 billion in backing,
yeah, they had a lot of
and
backing for it, and I think it was justified. I think they're smart because they probably had a really good pitch for it, and realistically, on paper, I think it was a good
well,
idea.
the pitch is great, right? The pitch is you can watch any piece of content on our platform in 10 minutes or less, and
Yeah,
I take that back. I think it sounds good for an investor pitch. I think it is a terrible idea.
I agree because
Um,
obviously you have your YouTubes
yeah,
and other online web content that's free as it is. Like obviously there's YouTube Premium, but all YouTube content is free, and that's 10-minute content. Like you're competing with one of the biggest streaming platforms on the planet.
yeah. Philip DeFranco has been covering this. He's a news YouTuber,
Yeah,
and his biggest thing, he was short form content on the internet. That's just what we do. The fact that you guys tried to hire, people like Chrissy Teigen or Chance the Rapper Like, you should just be hiring Liza Koshy, David Dobrik. Like, you should just be getting these easy names for people that already make 10-minute content and just giving them money to make 10-minute content.
I agree. And not only that, but they're experts in that short content market.
Yeah.
Now, my biggest gripe with Quibi is that it's, it's fully produced content. We're talking about like TV show to movie level quality within 10 minutes. And when you have content like that, you have writers that write that content. Now, I don't know if you know this, but when you hire writers, most of them are probably in the union, Hollywood unions.
Holly, are we screwing the union?
Oh yeah, they screwed the unions big time because there are like stipulations to being in a union and like what kind of content you get paid for and whatnot. Basically, they shortcutted union guidelines so that they didn't have to pay people as much. They would like pay writers to write like 90 minutes worth of content, like a full movie.
Yeah.
And they would cut that movie down to 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, your big paycheck turns into $10 an hour. And I think that's pretty shitty.
That is shitty.
So they were basically skirting around paying people in just a big union loophole, I guess you could say. And it's not cool.
Yeah, that is not cool. I mean, it serves them right. Honestly, like, everything about this, I think, is just terrible. Yeah. Like, first of all, the original plan was you could only watch it on your phone, period.
Yeah.
There's no other way to do it. They just added support for, I think, like, streaming sticks, not even computers, just, like, specific streaming sticks last week. And, like, shit's already dead. So who gives a fuck, right? So that to me makes me angry. Just because, I mean, like, how fucking, like, why? Why does it have to be viewed on my phone? Like, that's just irrelevant.
Yeah.
Two, I think they're like, oh, everybody has a fucking goldfish attention span. And, like, I get the idea. The idea is, like, you are on your way from work, to your house. You're on your way from house to work. You're standing in the subway car or whatever the fuck you're doing. And you're like, I'll just watch this episode. Never in my life have I watched a television show and been like, wow, I wish this was shorter. Like a good television show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, why would I want to do, and like, what, it doesn't even make sense. So like, I get a 10-minute episode and I'm like, wow, I watched that. Why can't I just watch 10 minutes of any other show and then just fucking pick it up later? Like, the argument could be like the pacing wouldn't be correct because like, I'd always get a complete story in 10 minutes, but like, who the fuck wants that?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I know exactly what you're saying.
I think that it's fine. Like, if there's a show that does that, I will watch it if it's good. But like, why the fuck would that be your business model?
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a stupid idea to base an entire platform around. And then obviously coronavirus doesn't help because everyone's home. So like, why would I watch content made for the man on the move?
I don't want to watch 10-minute content. I want to watch like longer content that's going to keep me more invested.
Yeah.
So basically, long story short, Quibi sucked.
What
shitty
the fuck?
Platform, shitty business model. Decent idea on paper, but rest in peace.
Yeah, adios.
I don't know.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Stupid. All right. So the final news story we have for the day is Netflix revealing some viewership numbers for some of the newer stuff that has come out recently. And that is Enola Holmes, Project Power, I believe The Old Guard has some updated news, and then Kissing Booth 2. So The Old Guard was seen by 78 million members in its first 4 weeks. Which numbers. Yeah, which is up from 72 million. So they had to, they got the numbers back in again. Turns up 6 million more people actually watched it than they originally thought.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, Netflix categorizes watching it as watching 2 minutes of the movie. So that's kind of dumb, but whatever.
I also think that's pretty dumb. I think it should be like 15 minutes at least.
Yeah, or like a percentage of how long it is.
Yeah, I agree.
So on top of that, Enola Holmes is estimated, they're still pulling in the numbers for it, to reach 76 million in its first 4 weeks, and Project Power to reach 75 million. and then
Yeah.
Kissing Booth 2, which I've never heard of, 66 million.
Right.
So those three films, because I mean, and if you've seen The Kissing Booth, I guess, but like, so Enola Holmes, Project Power, Kissing Booth. What do you think of those numbers? Because I believe that puts all three of them and The Old Guard in the top 10 most watched content pieces they've ever put out.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I think it shows Netflix is continuing to expand.
Mm-hmm.
I think coronavirus is definitely helping with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, well, I mean, for just a one-off, I guess it's good to see the Old Guard doing good numbers because it was very good,
Yeah, very
and I
much
want to see a
enjoyed it.
sequel. So I'm happy to see that. Same with Project Power, I like that too. Um, but I think the pandemic is helping Netflix in a big way. I think it's I think it's nice to see that like this like top 10, you know, most viewed content on Netflix is like a constantly shuffling. It's a constantly shuffling list,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's good for Netflix because it does make headlines and people see it. They're like, wow, a lot of this Netflix content is getting seen, and a
Yeah.
lot of people are liking it because the views just keep going up. And I know Netflix doesn't. They obviously they care about the views, but it's more about the subscriptions. Um, and when they keep breaking records like this, I I think theoretically it shows they might be getting more subscriptions, but
Yeah, I don't know
even
if
if
they
they're
have those
not,
numbers.
they're getting good publicity for it. Um, so I think overall it's good to see for Netflix, and you and I both can say we've seen Project Power and The Old Guard, and they were
Yeah.
both pretty good. So
Yeah, I think both of those are great.
um,
I've also seen Enola Holmes, and I think that is also a really great movie. I think it's it's maybe not as, I don't know, like action packed. It's just a different type of film, right? So like I don't want to, because Project
yeah,
Power is like much more like adrenaline.
sure,
Enola Holmes is much more like a family film.
yeah,
But I think the actors are a bit more of a draw. Like Henry Cavill, top of his game. Millie Bobby Brown doing great.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I'm interested to see what they actually settle at.
hmm
I also think that this indicates to me that Project Power and Nola Holmes are getting sequels.
I think
So
Old Guard will definitely get a sequel too, but I think they already announced that.
yeah,
Um, but overall, I think this is good news for good content. You know,
yeah, I agree. I agree.
um, and I actually do like that they've been doing it more this year, and I think they were doing it last year. But I don't know if I've ever said it, but I think it's good that Netflix is finally releasing numbers
Yeah.
because they never used to release numbers, and it was very like they were very much in the dark about it because they didn't really want people to know like their business model and like
Mm-hmm.
how they're operating, which is smart because it slows down the other streaming services and how they want to operate. But
Yeah.
I think now it's turned into like a flex for Netflix to be like, you know, these are our numbers. We're doing great. Everything's popping off. All our content's popping. Like, it's good to see. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, that wraps out our news for the week, and we are going to be talking about another Netflix event for our discussion, actually,
Yeah.
and that is the Trial of the Chicago Seven, written and directed by Aaron Sorkin,
Yes,
starring
sir.
we got Yahya Abdul Mateen II, Sacha Baron Cohen, Danny
hmm
Flattery, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Keaton. Let's see, Frank Langella, John Carroll Lynch, Eddie Redmayne, Noah Robbins, Mark Rylance, Alex Sharp, Jeremy Strong. Killer,
Another
killer fucking cast. Oh my
another
god,
all-star cast. That's right.
absolutely. So I mean, genuinely, just starting off, we watched this movie last night. We ran out of time this week, is why we had to push the episode back to Tuesday.
Yeah.
Uh, I was gonna watch half of it last night, half of it in the morning because it's like 2.5 hours long. I was up until
Yeah.
3 a.m. watching this thing. Like I could not stop watching it. I was like, we got to just watch the whole thing.
Yeah. I was also up until like 2:30 watching it as well. Um,
I
really,
genuinely believe that
really
Aaron
good stuff.
Sorkin is a genius.
Oh yeah. Listen, dude. I mean, obviously this entire movie is centered around a court case from the
Oh,
60s.
his political drama. Mm.
Political drama is fantastic, and let's not forget Aaron Sorkin made A Few Good Men, and he wrote that, and
Yeah, did the
it's
Social
one of the
Network too?
that's right. Those two alone are like
Also, the first three seasons of West Wing.
That's right. I mean, we're talking about like borderline classic stuff this guy's writing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this will definitely is up in that category of like his top tier stuff. This was really good.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
the acting was great. The writing was fantastic. Um, everything was compelling. The entire conflict with the judge and how the judge was like a complete dick.
Oh, he's such a
Um,
cocksucker. Jesus Christ.
it kept me like super invested. I was like, dude, I want to see them beat this guy so bad. Like this guy's such an asshole.
He was just so fucking
um,
annoying. It's just, yeah.
yeah, and it was completely just yeah. I agree, and I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character was a great like middle of the road in between point of like um he was really just there to do his job. Like he didn't. I think it was pretty obvious he didn't totally believe in what he was fighting for,
Mm-hmm.
but he did a great job of holding up his career and like what he was working at and doing the job that he needed to do,
Yeah.
but also showing the emotion of this sucks. Like I don't actually want to be doing this.
Yeah. God, Aaron Sorkin's so fucking good.
Yeah,
Because, like,
yeah,
so, I'll be honest, I didn't know. Obviously, the trial of the Chicago 7 is an actual, it's an actual story based on real
yeah,
life events. Really, if you look up the pictures of, like, the actual people, the actors almost nail it, like, perfectly. Like, Aaron
yeah,
Sorkin, whoever the costume designer was, like, they're killing it. I
yeah. It was
think,
right on point.
like I learned a lot about this time period. Like I think it does a really good job of telling, the story and what it was all about, Vietnam War and the re-election or the election of Nixon versus I forget who's running against him. I think Hardy or something like that.
Humphrey. I
Humphrey,
think
yeah, sorry.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Like it's just obviously movies take a long time to get off the ground and get everything together. My man Aaron Sorkin was like, you know what? I'm writing this. I predict Joe Biden's gonna get the nomination, and I'm gonna predict that nobody fucking gives a shit about either. Like, I think
Yeah.
regardless of your political beliefs, because this is not a political podcast, I think it's very obvious to see there is a strong majority of people who do not like Joe Biden, but just
Yeah.
don't like Donald Trump more, so they're voting
Hmm.
for Joe Biden. And I think that that's almost what you get from this film. Like talking about at the beginning, Eddie Redmayne's
Yeah.
character is like, listen, I think it's a Hubert Humphrey, something like that. I don't know
Yeah.
whatever it is. He's like, Humphrey is just as much of a jackass as Nixon. Like either way, we're fucked.
Hmm.
Which I think is a way that a lot of people feel right now. They're like, just like, how do you get less fucked?
Yeah.
And
The
like,
storyline is very much
there's
in
just
line with a
there's
lot
so
of the
many
political
echoes.
climate going on today,
Oh,
and
it's beautiful.
it's the kind of story that it's hitting at the right time in the right place, and telling a story that's real, but it's something that still exists today.
Yeah,
A
like
lot, a
Eddie
lot of people.
Redmayne's character is talking. He's like, listen, like, we got to make fundamental changes for the future.
Yeah.
Like, neither of these candidates are really going to help that.
Yeah.
And so they try to march on the DNC to get them to change their mind about electing Humphrey, which they do not do. And in the end, Humphrey actually does lose to Richard Nixon, and Richard Nixon becomes the president of the United States.
Right.
Um, it's just very interesting. Like, just such an interesting, yeah. It's like very
Yeah.
poignant to what's going on in our political climate currently. I don't
Hmm.
know if like as soon as Donald Trump got elected in 2016, Aaron Sorkin's like, this is gonna be fucking relevant.
Yeah.
But like, oh my god, like just
I
great
think
timing, great acting, great characters. Mm,
I,
yeah,
I 100% agree. And I think, but another really interesting thing about it was the obviously all the guys on the defense. There's seven of them, well, eight of them.
yeah,
Um, they're all under the same roof, I guess you could say, politically. They
hmm
all believe in the same thing. They all want the same thing to happen, realistically.
yeah,
But they're so divided amongst themselves on how to approach that. And I think that is also something that's really relevant today. To see the arguments between Eddie Redmayne and Sacha Baron Cohen on how
oh,
like
brilliant.
one's radical and one's very much by the books, and it's like, yeah, like that's very relevant. Like there's a lot of people who think the same way, like who have the same kind of arguments and conversations. Like
Yeah,
it was really really good. It was really really good.
yeah.
Like
Holy
the
crap.
acting, the characters, the writing, the dialogue, the struggle, the conflicts. Like it was great. was
Yeah,
fantastic.
I think it has a great. It has that like Aaron Sorkin. Like at the beginning, there's a lot of Aaron Sorkin vibe of like. One of the things about West Wing is that nobody is ever sitting while they're talking. They're always like walking and talking.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of that when you're in like the opening scenes. And I thought that was really, I was like, oh, classic Sorkin.
yeah,
It was very good though. And then I also thought one of the standout actors to me was, I mean, one, I think Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen kill it, right?
yeah,
I think my favorite standout, not necessarily like performance wise, but just like standout actor character in the thing was Michael Keaton's ex
yeah,
Attorney General. I thought he was so fucking funny.
yeah. I thought he was really funny, and I really liked his like attitude towards everything. He was very much like
Yeah.
a fuck you, like I'm here and I know I'm doing the right thing, but like I know I'm not gonna help you, like
Yeah, well, because like
realistically.
the theory or like the undertoning of his whole character is that Richard Nixon fired him
Yeah,
because Richard Nixon and him disagreed, and then he's like, the whole reason that they're doing this is almost literally to stick it to Michael Keaton's character. And I just
yeah,
thought, Michael Keaton won. I think it's funny that he's like, like the whole thing, like if we're talking about like the Attorney General of the United States and then a court case of any variety, I think
hmm,
it's fair to say that like Michael Keaton's character is almost like the Yoda of the scenario. Like he's like,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
the all powerful, all master, all wise. Like he's even in the courtroom and the judge says something and he's like, that's not fucking true. Like, what do you,
yeah,
and he's like, who am I to question the Attorney General? Like, holy crap.
yeah,
But
exactly.
like, yeah, it's just so funny. Like Eddie Redmayne's like, you gotta grow some fucking balls, and he's like, how about you suck my ball?
Yeah, dude.
like he says something, and he's like, how you like them apples? Like it's just so funny. Like he's just so
Yeah, Eddie
good.
Redmayne was like, you have to find courage, and then like he basically tells the agents in his room to go fuck themselves,
Yeah,
and
he's
he's like,
like, you
found
either
it.
arrest me or shut the fuck up.
Yeah, dude.
That was
It was
good.
great.
Yeah,
It was
great
awesome.
scene. And I also think it's really good in the court when like it's very clear again that the judge is just completely incompetent. And
Yeah,
at the end of it, it was actually interesting to find that I believe it said 76% of the peer review against that judge found him to be incompetent.
yeah, yeah. I like
Um,
that. I like that. I thought it was a really good stat to put there because I was like
yeah.
thinking the whole time. I was like, how the fuck is this judge like
Oh, such a
allowed to
dumbass.
practice? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
what an idiot.
Um, fuck, but like when him and I don't know the name of the actors, so you'll have to excuse me, but him and like the lawyer are getting into it,
Yeah,
and he's just like he just starts rattling off stuff, and he's like, "Is this fucked up?" And Michael Keaton just like leans, he's like, "Yes."
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. He's like, "Is
I
this a
also really
political
like.
trial?" Yes.
Yeah, I also really like the antics of Sacha Baron Cohen and the other hippie dude in the courtroom. Where,
Oh,
like
so
they showed up
funny.
one day in the robes, and he's like, "Take the robes off," and then like they were in cop uniforms. Like that was pretty funny too.
Yeah. Oh,
They
this
they
whole
had
thing
really
is.
good repertoire in the courtroom, and then Sacha Baron Cohen was on the stand when he had to take the stand at the end.
Oh, that was great. Great
What
scene.
a great he still kept like his like comedic like
Hmm.
attitude a bit, but he was so much more composed and like such a matter of fact sort of statement on the stand. It was great.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this is awesome.
it's good writing.
Yeah, very good writing.
Yeah, I think
But I
that one
mean,
of
what
the
else can you
secret.
expect from him?
Yeah, one of the secret things about comedians is that they end up being very intelligent.
Yeah.
At least the good ones. Not saying that all of them are smart or all those, but like you end up seeing they actually have like a very very high level of like what's going on, even though they seem like they're stupid and they're just kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you see that in that scene. Like when he starts speaking, you realize that like, or even the scene before it, when Eddie Redmayne's getting grilled on the whole like scenario,
Yeah.
and he's like freaking out, and then all of a sudden Sacha Baron Cohen realizes what he meant to say, and then he starts talking about like the deconstruction of the English language on like a technical
Hmm.
level, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my god, he's smart. Oh
Yeah,
my
dude.
god, like he's
Dude,
secretly a genius.
it was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I would be very interested to see if this is going to get any nominations for like best screenplay
Oh,
or
I hope so.
something like that. I think it would definitely deserve some kind of nomination for that because
Yeah,
the screenplay is fucking great. The dialogue is incredible.
dude, I'm
So
even now I'm thinking even more about the police stuff. Like this is really like it's very poignant to the time, to the riots, to the
yeah, dude.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
incredibly relevant,
yeah.
and that's something that people are really going to connect to, and I think that's part of the reason it's doing so well and people are talking about it so much, because it's very relevant to the time.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're starting to come up on the what time are we at? We're at the 105 mark. It's probably a good place to end it. I think I don't want to give it like a rating because I feel like we shouldn't just do numbers.
Yeah.
Just because that's not that kind of podcast, or this isn't that kind of podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I mean, just final thoughts. I mean, like, I think this is amazing. I think it's pointing to the time. I think if you love Aaron Sorkin, if you love West Wing, if you love The Social Network, like the writing is quippy, it's witty, it's well done. The production is amazing. The actors are amazing. Like, I think you got to see this. I think if you have the time, like, I really enjoy this film.
Yeah, I agree. I really recommend it. The cast hits every note. Nobody's lacking. Like I said earlier, Aaron Sorkin wrote Few Good Men, and that's probably one of the best court movies ever made.
That's Tom Cruise, yeah. That's the "You can't handle the truth."
Exactly. Yeah, it's probably the most iconic courtroom scene in all of movies. But
his political writing is very, very good.
Yeah, so I mean, realistically, we're talking about an expert in his pocket, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's hitting that pocket of politics and the courts, and it's a great story. The set and the period really fits really nicely. It looks fucking awesome. And it's really relevant to the time. So I think, I would definitely recommend you guys watch it.
Yeah, then go watch West Wing and A Few Good Men.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps us up for today's podcast.
Yes.
Next week, The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1 comes out this Friday. So we thought it would be fun for next week to just give a first impression review of the first episode. And then if that goes well, we will probably come back when the season ends and do a full season review.
That's right. Just to hit the Mandalorian Season 2, like right when it starts, we'll give our thoughts, where we think it's going to go. And then we'll loop it back around once it ends, and we'll talk about it as a whole, probably. Season 2 as a whole, once the last episode comes out.
Yeah. So, as always, if you like the show, be sure to like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We love getting new audience members, new viewers, join in the discussions.
Absolutely.
And, hopefully everyone likes the topics. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, you can always email us at cinemascrutinypodcast@gmail.com or just leave a comment. We're always
definitely
looking at everything.
It was nice to see all the comments last week on last week's episode. It was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Always good to read that.
Appreciate the interaction and the activity on our posts. So thank you guys so much.
All right. Well, I've been John. That's been Billy. And have a good week. And we will see you next time.
See ya.